The year was 1805, and tension filled the air as one of the most anticipated naval battles in history was set to take place. The Battle of Trafalgar, a part of the Napoleonic Wars, was about to occur, and all eyes were on the horizon as the two opposing fleets drew nearer. On one side stood the legendary Admiral Horatio Nelson, whose reputation for triumph on the high seas had already reached legendary status. On the other was the French and Spanish Armada, poised to make a move that would change the course of history. As the two fleets approached one another, the air was tense with anticipation. Nelson's flagship, the HMS Victory, led the charge against the French and Spanish, who had taken formation in an unbreakable line. The action was intense, and the roar of cannons filled the air, the smoke from the gunpowder obscuring the view of the sea. In the midst of the chaos, Nelson was struck by a bullet that would eventually prove fatal, but he refused to let his injury break his spirit. Instead, he continued to lead his soldiers, an inspiration to all who witnessed his bravery that day. The battle was fierce, the ships colliding in a wash of splintered wood and torn sails. The crews fought with a desperate fervor, knowing that the fate of nations hung in the balance. Salvo after salvo rocketed across the water, as the two sides battled it out for hours. As the day wore on, it became clear that Admiral Nelson had made a bold move that would ultimately prove decisive in the battle. He had divided his ships into two columns, piercing the enemy's line and sowing chaos among their ranks. The strategy worked, and the French and Spanish ships began to falter. In the end, the British emerged victorious, with 22 enemy ships captured or destroyed. The French and Spanish casualties were catastrophic, and the battle would go down in history as one of the most decisive victories of the Napoleonic Wars. The victory was not without its toll. However, Horatio Nelson, the beloved hero who had fought with fearless determination, lay dying on the deck of his flagship, his final words ringing out across the water. "Thank God, I have done my duty." The Battle of Trafalgar was a turning point in the Napoleonic Wars, and it remains a symbol of the courage and determination of those who fought for their nations. It was a brutal, grueling struggle, but in the end, it was the strength and perseverance of the British fleet that emerged victorious, with Admiral Nelson's leadership serving as a shining example of what it truly means to be a hero.